Okay, should be clear. Everybody hear me? Ah. Okay, just for certain people out there that really enjoy this. Yeah, redneck prepper and countryman, and that I've learned that not all of the fruits, nuts, and flakes are from the left coast. There are fruits, nuts, and flakes on the east coast too, the right coast. Is that right and left? Anyway, and no, I'm not talking about anybody recently escaped from the east coast. Hey, there's New Jersey people. Somebody's from New Jersey there. Oh yeah, this was awesome. This guy writes me and he says he had just seen my video on This Map Will Save Your Life about the Ozark Plateau, and Ava's the center of the Ozark Plateau, and he says, he said, I bought a house in Ava from New Jersey, near Ava, Missouri. He said, the video just totally blew him away, of course, and he's like, maybe it's not a coincidence that I bought it. And I'm like, not hardly. Yeah. Our guide is Aslan. There are no coincidences from the Chronicles of Narnia, Silver Chair. But anyway, that was pretty cool. But yeah, and oddly enough, I mean, there are a number of very significant people that I've known here that are from New Jersey. I mean, it's amazing how many are from New Jersey. So, all right, I'm going to read, just to make everybody really happy and they can go to sleep. Or, whenever you listen to this, you can listen to a whole section. So this next part is called Detente, Part 2. When the last soldier had boarded the sheriff, when the last soldier had boarded, the sheriff turned to John and said, "Come with me." He then turned to the others standing there watching and said, "This is a public road. I want those trees cleared off and the road reopened right away. The rest of you folks, go on home. Party's over." He climbed over the trees and walked back toward his car. Ann and Robert walked up, along with Lisa and Ed. Upon arriving at the car, the sheriff reached inside, picked up a small parcel, then turned to John. "Mr. Horn," he said, "if you'd be so kind as to raise your right hand and repeat after me." John quirked an eyebrow at the request, but he raised his hand. The sheriff continued, "I, John Horn, do solemnly swear to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Florida." After a moment's hesitation, he repeated the words and said, "Sheriff, what the hell is this?" The sheriff said, "Just keep repeating, Mr. Horn. I'm swearing you in as a special deputy. I swear to uphold the laws and regulations of Alachua County and to faithfully execute those laws to the best of my judgment and ability, that I will show no favoritism in my service and to honorably uphold my duties as a deputy of the sheriff of Alachua County, Florida, so help me God." John finished his repetition, and the sheriff handed him a deputy's star. With a tone of real concern, he asked the lawman, "Why are you doing this?" The sheriff let out a sigh and said, "Mr. Horn, it's like this. I don't have anywhere near the number of deputies that I need in order to keep this county since impact, nor does the Gainesville Police Department or the smaller towns. Half the county, maybe more, goes to bed hungry every night. Nearly everyone is out of work. Communications are spotty at best. And the fuel shortage aggravates everything. Every National Guard and military reserve trooper in the county has been called up as well as what we could scavenge from the evacuees, and they've all been folded into the recovery command. And what few active troops that could be sent too. It's simply not enough. We've got at least 55,000 refugees here in Alachua County alone that we know of, and more coming in every day. The whole house of cards may collapse any time. Like it or not, I've got to rely on the local citizenry to help keep the peace. You are a county resident. You've been here for 10 years. You are respectable, and most importantly, you have just demonstrated that you are capable of acting with coolness and decision. Maybe if we'd gotten a more able local military commander, we might not be so bad off. But I've got to work with what I have. You are part of that now. Your area of responsibility will be the county road from the Archer city limit down to Williston Road and the branching roads off of it. From time to time, you may be called on to assist outside of your area, and you'll need to come into town periodically to the office. When we have it, you'll be entitled to a small gasoline ration. If you have CB radios or can get them, I'll have one of our communication techs come and get you set up for the sheriff's net so you can call for help if you need it when the phones are down. I strongly suggest you try to organize a neighborhood watch for your area and set up a net of whatever residents in your area that may have two-way radios of some sort. You were in the posse that brought in those cattle rustlers from out here the other day, weren't you? The new deputy nodded his head, and the sheriff continued. Then it'll come as no surprise to you that we're having an increasing theft problem, sometimes violent encounters too. You'll do best if you can get your area as organized as possible communications-wise. The thieves, rustlers, and incipient bandit wannabes will avoid you if they know they run a higher risk here of catching a load of buckshot. You'll liaison with Deputy Daniels, and if there's anything from the office that needs to be brought out, he'll bring it. He is familiar with our local constable program, and he'll fill in further tonight when he goes off shift. He allowed this to sink in for a few moments. John said, Okay, Sheriff. I reckon I can see the need, even if I don't think I'm particularly suited to the task, so I'll take your commission, I suppose you'd call it. I suppose I owe you that much for intervening in our fracas here. Another of the sheriff's nods. I suppose you do owe me that much as well. I probably don't have to tell you this, but you've made yourself an enemy out of Captain Swift. You've made yourself an enemy out of Captain Swift, and he strikes me as the kind of man who doesn't forget these things, so watch your back around him. Between you and me, he's everything that I don't like in a deputy, and under other circumstances in real action, I'd hope the Army would try him and find him wanting. But for the foreseeable future, we're probably stuck with him. Poor as he is, simply isn't anyone to replace him with until they can get more of their troops back from overseas. The colonel tells me with the China situation in the Middle East about to boil over, that might not happen for a while, if ever. With you as a local constable, he should be a little more circumspect about trying you again, but don't give him any easy openings. Most of his responsibility lies with the camps in Grainsville and around the county and their logistical needs, so hopefully your paths shouldn't cross again, but don't count on it. Between you and me, that man has been chapping my ass a bit more every day, but then so does the county commission, so it's all just part of the job. Freed put out his hand and they shook. Goodbye, Deputy Horn. Keep your sector quiet. Let's all get back to the business of staying alive. The sheriff then climbed back in behind the wheel and started the motor. Mike nodded at him and got in on the other side. The cruiser backed, turned, and disappeared down the road the way it had come. John turned to see Ann and the rest with the star in his hand. Well, he said, once again we see that no good deed goes unpunished.